Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, Reeling in Holistic Health, where we care about your mental health and well being. I'm your host, Coach Rice, and I want to make sure that you tune in every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, where I have my special guest on to talk about real issues that matter most. I want you to check us out on YouTube, Facebook Live, on Business Facebook page, also on the Be Awesome Network. Stay tuned. I think you're going to really like this next guest. Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, where we care about your mental health and well being. I'm your host, Coach Rice, and with me today, I have a special guest. Her name is Maddie Andrews. She is an executive director and founder of J&E Support Group. So, Maddie, tell us where you're from and how did you embark upon this journey in the nonprofit arena?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm very excited and thankful. I'm from Liberty, North Carolina, a very small town. Not much going on here, but that's all right. And the reason I got into the nonprofit world, especially the mental health nonprofit world, was my own mental health journey. So I do live with serious mental illness. And in 2023, I had been fighting these debilitating symptoms, not really living life. And it all kind of came to a head, and I ended up in the hospital dying because of it,
Hmm.
because of some significant missteps by some doctors. I was forced to relearn walking, talking, swallowing, breathing, everything. It was extremely traumatic. And I had these basic questions along my healing journey. Why have I never met anybody like me? Why am I driving an hour for services? Why is it so expensive for my care for the way I was born? And why have I been coached to be silent about all of this my entire life? So I made a very miraculous recovery, a miracle. And I set out to kind of answer these questions on my own and change the way mental health care is viewed in my area.
Oh, wow. What were you, if you don't mind me asking, what were you diagnosed with?
Yeah, so my diagnosis is what's called schizoaffective bipolar type, OCD, generalized anxiety, and PTSD. And what schizoaffective means is I have symptoms of both schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. So I have to deal with things like psychosis, mania, and depression. And I had gotten very sick in 2023 with mania and psychosis to the point that I could no longer work. And they actually ended up with extreme lithium toxicity, serotonin syndrome, and a brain injury because of the treatment I was
Hmm.
given. That's why I got so sick.
Okay. And so thank you, Maddie, for sharing that because a lot of people connect shame to talking about
Yes,
things like this and it's nothing to be ashamed of, right? And
absolutely not.
so I love how you created a nonprofit. Tell us more about your nonprofit.
Yeah, definitely. So my nonprofit, our mission is community support and education and awareness revolving around mental health. Our vision is for mental health care to be equitable, affordable, and accessible. What we do is we offer 100% free peer support groups. Our first one that we ever opened is virtual for anyone living with schizoaffective disorder, schizophrenia, and bipolar disorder. It's actually happening later tonight after this. It's got people from around the country. Anyone is welcome. It's 100% free. It's just a great place to find community and learn skills together. We also have in person groups in Randolph County, North Carolina for any mental health concern. We do a lot of like art therapy and group work and things like that along our healing journeys. And then we also do social work advocacy because I am in my school getting my master's in social work. So a couple of examples of this would be we're planning a mental health simulation. I was writing a community assessment about the high level of stigma and low level of providers in my area. And I was like, I had been to a reentry simulation and it was so impactful. So I was like, why can't we recreate this with behavioral health? So what's going to happen is you're going to come and be given a profile, name, age, do you have a job? What's your diagnosis? What's your insurance? What's your family support? And there's tables set up around the room with actual agencies from our community. So there's going to be a crisis table, an outpatient table, a career table, a college table, et cetera, et cetera. And you're going to navigate the day in the life of that person. of that profile. And at each table, you're going to be given a situation card. So maybe you lose your job, lose your insurance, and need to apply for Medicaid. Maybe you go into crisis and you get involved with the police and you have to navigate going to the FBC. Just day-to-day things that could really honestly happen to a person living with mental illness. And then we're going to finish up with a person speaking with lived experience, followed by signups for 100% free mental health first aid training. This advocacy effort is near and dear to my heart because we do have a lot of stigma. So it's been a very enjoyable project. And then we also do a lot of public speaking, me and some of my friends, to educate on mental illness and to provide hope and awareness.
Wow, I am so glad that you do this. This is, mental health is my passion. This is my passion.
Yeah.
So I love what you're doing. And so
Thank
let me
you.
ask you a question. A lot of people who deal with who's been diagnosed and on different medications tend to fall back and not want to take their medications when they feel better. Tell us, like, if you can help the audience with the the main reason why you should stay on your medication so that they can have hope. What
Yeah.
advice would you give them?
Well, if you weren't feeling well and started a medication and now you're feeling better, I would encourage you to think about maybe the medication and the coping skills you're learning while you're in recovery are a part of why you are feeling better. I do know that some people have side effects, but that's why it's important to advocate with your doctor to find the correct medication. There are medications out there that don't have the same side effects as others. Not every medication works the same in every person, but it is so important to not just stop your medication. That's very dangerous. And they can help us live a fulfilling life. Like, I like to speak about my own experience. I would not be doing anything I do if I did not take my medication as prescribed. That's just the bottom line. It's a lifeline for me. I don't always like having to take it, but I know it's just a necessary step for people like me. So, yeah, please, please. And if you have a problem with your medication, always consult your doctor before adjusting it. That is so important.
And what advice would you give them to make them feel um, better about, although they've been diagnosed with a mental health issue, but that's not their identity?
No.
How do you help them this, externalize that?
Well, when I talk about mental health, like I don't say, "Hey, I'm Maddie, I'm schizoaffective." I say, "Hey, I'm Maddie, I live with schizoaffective," because we're who we are first. Our diagnosis doesn't define us. Look at all you've accomplished in life outside of your diagnosis, in spite of your diagnosis. Yes, we can use it as a strength, but you need to look at the beautiful, wonderful things about you. Like, I'm a helper, I'm a wife, I'm a student, I'm a executive director, and these things don't have anything to do with my diagnosis. We're so much bigger. But the most important thing is we're human beings too. So we're going to have natural feelings, natural wants, natural needs outside of being someone who lives with mental illness. You are a person first.
Yes. If I was right there with you, I'd give you a hug for that. Because that is so true. And I think it really helps people to understand that is not who you are. That is what you're dealing
Right.
with.
Exactly. Like, I talk about it a lot, but it doesn't define me. I never say, "Hey, I'm schizoaffective," or I don't identify myself with my language like that at all.
Right. And so with your nonprofit, how do you how are you able to offer free mental health services? Do you work with different ther- therapists, counselors that, that volunteer their time? How does that work for you?
Well, all of our support groups are run through peer support specialists. We are licensed in North Carolina. We have taken the certification classes. Um, and it's all volunteer at this point. Like, all of my peer support volunteer their time because they believe in the mission. All of our physical space for group is donated. We run strictly on donations, and volunteer hours. And I firmly believe when someone hears the passion and the mission and the need of creating community and they get behind it, we can really go far with that. Down the line, we're looking at some grant funding, and maybe some donations in other ways. But right now, we're not that big and we're able to really sustain purely on volunteers and donations.
That is amazing. So
Yeah.
you're going to school for social with your master's in social work. So what are your plans for the future?
Initially, with grad school, I was like, I want to do therapy for free, like I do peer support, because I do believe that copays are a barrier, insurance is a barrier for some people, and I don't want anyone to not get the care they need because of cost. But what I learned in grad school is the system is broken on a much larger level. I am very much called to be an advocate, work in policy, run programs, community outreach. So, macro social work is really where my heart lies. And I hope to be able to bring all of that to the nonprofit or another agency where I can build relationships with community partners, advocate for change, study policy, run and be a director, you know, just
Oh
macro
wow, you
social
have a
work.
big calling.
Yeah.
But
Advocacy is
with your
really where
heart,
my
you
heart
can do
lies.
it. You can do it. With your heart
Yeah,
driven toward that, you can do it. You can do it because it is a heart-driven mission.
it is.
And I'm so happy for you doing it.
Oh,
That is
thank you. Thank
amazing.
you.
So
Yeah.
what do you have any other plans for the future that you have on your heart?
I'd really like to expand my reach with the people I speak to because I do share a lot of my story when I speak, but I also like to share education like you're offering me the ability to do today. So I'm very thankful that you have this platform because if one person can hear me, maybe they live with schizoaffective, maybe they live with a different mental health need, maybe they have a loved one who does. And I can provide a little bit of hope and inspiration. That's what really drives me. So I'd really like to eventually work on my public speaking reach, um, because I feel like I have a unique voice and I'd like to be able
Yes.
to touch some more people.
You speak well, actually.
Thank you. Thank
You'll
you.
do well in the speaking arena.
Thank
You'll do
you.
well. You'll do well. Love what you do. Oh my God, that's amazing. You ever think about writing books?
I would love to write a book one day because my life has been very interesting. Um, I could sit here and talk to you for hours, but we all go through things, so it's important to remember that too. But I would love to write an autobiography one day, just to kind of, I'm a big proponent in talking about people hear words like schizophrenia and they have this misconception that's often portrayed by the media that things like were
Yes.
inherently violent or the bipolar aspect of things were so moody and uncontrollable. And none of that's true. Like, we're still human beings who deserve empathy and respect. And I think if I could write a book to show the struggles I had to internalize by wearing that mask in public to hide how I'm feeling so that society can accept me, maybe it would give a different outlook to how we treat people and the level of stigma we hold when it in regards to mental illness.
How did you overcome that stigma? Because that is huge. That's a huge hurdle.
Yes. It was not easy. I lived in secrecy. I lived with a lot of shame. I lived with a lot of guilt most of my life. I didn't like anything about myself. I hid everything about myself. But after my lithium toxicity, I had spent so long, many years of my life feeling like death was my only option. And when I have amnesia. And when I read my medical records and learned that I was cheating death, I was like, okay, it's time to do something different here. Like, I'm not going to be quiet about who I am. So I started really small and I told a couple people around me, like, yeah, I have schizoaffective. Yes, this is what happened to me. And I was met with warmth and compassion and love and all these beautiful things. And so it was like baby steps. And I just started talking a little bit here and a little bit here. And then when I started the nonprofit, I became very vocal because I feel like somebody needs to normalize these conversations to break stigma. Do I get backlash sometimes? Absolutely. But I'm at a place in my recovery where I can handle that. And I'm going to speak for the people who aren't safe enough to do that yet. I just expressed to the audience, if someone's being vulnerable enough to talk about their mental health, please meet them with kindness. I guarantee you we have enough negativity going on in our own heads.
I'm glad you said that because that's so important to put that out there. What was some of the what was some of the most difficult hurdles for you to actually overcome?
I think my lithium toxicity was difficult because I didn't even know what a toilet was. I couldn't talk, I couldn't read or write, I couldn't use a cell phone, and that recovery was very difficult.
Mm,
I think in 2021, when I was living with such deep suicidal ideations, that was extremely difficult for my husband and I. It was an all-consuming thought that I had, and it's when I get into mania, or depression like that, psychosis kind of creeps in, and I am in recovery. I do a lot of things, but that doesn't mean I'm symptom free all the time because that's not how mental illness works. I'm going to have symptoms from time to time. And my inner dialogue when my psychosis starts to come up is very negative. They tell me, my inner dialogue tells me that people don't like me, they hate me, I'm doing the wrong thing. So it's a constant battle of trying to reframe my self talk and keep going, which I do, but I also really lean heavily on my support network to do that. I have a therapist, I have my husband, my friends, my family. I have safe places to talk to people about these things.
I'm glad you said that because that was my next question. Who was your support network? And
Yeah,
I'm glad you said that because I believe that managing your health takes a team.
agreed. Totally agreed.
And it makes you feel seen, it makes you feel supported and heard, and it helps you move forward. And a lot of times people don't know how to create that team. Would you give some advice to the audience?
I think it's about finding your safe space, the people who are going to support you and not judge you. Just because someone is a blood relative doesn't always make them a safe space. I've had to learn that myself. It's about finding people who are going to express love and empathy and kindness in the hardest moments. Also, have your professionals in your support network. Like, I have a team of doctors, I have a therapist that I can get an appointment with at any time. Family and friends are great, but we need that professional insight as well. And peer
Yes.
support, if you're really struggling, peer support is a great service you can get as well.
Explain peer support just in case the audience don't know what that means.
Okay. Peer support specialists are people with lived experience. So it's either substance use, mental health, or both. People like me. And we get trained, we go through certification classes, ongoing training, how to not therapy because we're not therapists, but coach you through your recovery journey. We can teach you coping skills. We can share our stories. Therapists are wonderful and a lot of them have their own story, but they can't share that. But that's the
Right.
beauty of peer support. We can offer that hope. And there's a difference between just saying, "Oh, I've been there too," and saying, "Hey, I would like to share something with you. Is this okay with you?" And offering a light version to inspire and provide hope, because I'm a firm believer that when we find somebody we can connect to who's been on a similar journey, we're a lot more receptive to getting help. We're lot more receptive to listening. I know I was. And when you can couple that with the right therapist, then that's a beautiful thing.
That's awesome. And what did you get, the with you and your peers? Did you guys go through a certain certification program?
Yes.
And what was that
This
program?
The School of Social Work of UNC Chapel Hill, where I go to school, actually runs the curriculum for the state of North Carolina. It's a North Carolina license. You have to take, they're revamping the class now, but there's a test. It's like a 50-hour class plus 20 hours CEUs and things like RAP. Um, and then there's ongoing 20 hours a year CEUs. We have professional conferences. There's a lot of training involved. It's not the same as like a master's, but it's teaching you basically the 101 of how to support somebody in their recovery journey. And then you have to get your license renewed every couple of years.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love that. So is anything that I have not discussed that you want to talk about before?
I think you've done a great job. You hit on all the right notes. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for sharing because it's a lot of people don't have not open enough to and ready
Yeah.
to share their journey. And I think it takes courage and it takes the fact that your heart is driven toward helping people. In order to help people, we have to be able to share our story. And I thank you
Yes.
for sharing your story because you have no idea how many people that you are helping by sharing the story, even if it's one.
Yes,
It's amazing
exactly.
because that one can turn into 10, 10 can turn it can it's a multiplication aspect, right? And so I'm
Exactly.
so grateful that you have come on my podcast to share your story because mental health is my passion too.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how what you guys are doing, and I know God is going to bless it to be an amazing nonprofit. And I'll put all your links in the video so that people can maybe
Thank
donate and
you.
support, your journey. And kudos to you for getting your master's in social work.
Oh, thank you. Well, I mean it when I say I couldn't get the message out there without people like you in this platform. So I'm very appreciative of you having me on and continuing to talk about mental health because it is very important.
Yes, it is, and it doesn't mean that you can't do amazing things in your life like you are
Exactly.
doing. Yes. And so to the audience, just really take heed to the stigma that's around mental health and let's continue to open doors to talk about these things that are happening so that people can not feel isolated and ostracized because of something they're going through. Just everybody have to manage their health. And
Yes.
if we don't manage our mental health, our bodies will shut down. And so it's important to make sure that you do an assessment if you have to. Find out where you're at mentally, just like you do physically when you go get a physical from the doctor. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to share with somebody who's struggling with mental health, please do. She has an online group. I will put that link in a video that's free to the public that's online. So please do share the video and don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I always have amazing people like Maddie on to share their journey and share what they have for you. And they often have very good information. So please do share. And I just want to say to the audience, and to Maddie, thank you so much for listening and have an amazing Monday.
It's your time to shine, your journey to chart. With Coach Rice wisdom will heal every heart. So join us now, let's make life suffice. Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice.